Good evening, everyone. Hope all's well. We are supposed to be going live with Mikey Kroc, who is an entrepreneur based in the US. I don't need to say much, but super network with me, William. Hope all's well. Thank you for tuning in. We're just waiting for Michael Kroc to join in. Going to be speaking about entrepreneurship, business skills, management skills, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait. I can't wait. So, how's it going for everyone? How's Thursday doing? If you guys have any questions, comments, do put them in the comments section. Super. Did I just send a request?
What's happening?
Michael, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. Sorry, I have having some technical difficulties.
It's all right. It happens. This stuff always happens, you know. The other day I was on a live session with someone and they wouldn't come on for some reason. I thought I had technical difficulties. I had to get another viewer on board just to get him onto the live and check whether I have difficulties. But thank you so much for tuning in today, you know. I appreciate you taking out your time and coming on here and sharing knowledge, spreading the positive vibes, the positive energy. You know, you come from an entrepreneur background, business background. I've seen your podcast that you do, especially on your profile. And it was actually you that said hello to me in the first case. You know, normally I'm saying hello to people all over the place, you know, for them to come on my live session and join me and talk about business, skills, management, all that kind of stuff, you know. So thank you so much for taking the time out.
Anytime, man. I'm glad to be here, man. I'm glad to have connected with you, brother.
Good stuff. Before we move on, Michael, if you can introduce yourself as to who you are and what you do. I mean, everyone on here knows you, but still.
Well, my name is Mike Sirocco. My friends call me C-Rock, and I run a large division for a mortgage company called Nations Lending in the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States and Miami. And I also had the What Are You Made Of podcast and movement, which basically has stemmed a new business that we're doing, which is called People Building. And I'm in the mortgage business. That's my vehicle to make money and to help people and all that. But what happens is that every morning I wake up, I'm really in the people building business.
Absolutely.
I like to build people because, look, my employees, if they have money problems, then it becomes the business's money problems.
Of course.
If the family's if they're having problems at home in the family, it comes into the work, causes problems. The work can't be as good. So we said to ourselves, look, we need to start focusing on building our people and making them like just better in all areas. So that's what I do. And that's what my mission is to help find greatness in people and bring it out of them and put them on the right track to make them the best possible version of themselves.
And this is the reason for doing these live shows with people like yourself is, you know, going through this whole lockdown process, there was a whole lot of negativity that was up in the air, you know, with people and everything. And I come from a property background. I sell properties in the UK and London, you know, and we sort of connect in that region. You're on the mortgage side, I'm on the property side. So one day maybe, you know, we may do business together. But it was just that I wanted to build people's positivity, their mind, you know, just to share knowledge from people like yourself, successful people like yourself. You know, one time I had David Meltzer on here. He shared his knowledge and positivity that people could be helped with. And I like his motion of helping 1 billion people, you know,
Be happy.
absolutely. It's absolutely amazing how business people, successful business people like yourself, are coming out and doing this. So, Mike, before we start, I wanted to ask you, did you always think that you wanted to get into, firstly, the mortgage side of the business industry, and then we'll speak about how you found to build people from that. So let's talk about the mortgage
No,
and then.
no. So back in 1998, I got into sales. Matter of fact,
Okay.
my sales career actually started when I was 8 years old. I lived near a golf course, and I would go find golf balls and sell them to the golfers for a quarter. That's where my sales career started, and I did whatever it took because the owner of the golf course would get in a golf cart and try to chase us, and I would run,
No.
and then I would
Wow.
come back and do it again. So I did whatever it takes because I was committed to getting the golfers their golf balls. So that's
Absolutely.
where my sales career started. But then I did in-home sales. In 1998, I got into in-home sales, selling water treatment filtration system to homes.
Okay.
We would go in there, and on the basis of testing people's water and giving them a water test, a legit water test, and then showing them how to correct those problems.
Sure.
And we would sit there and have to close the deal that night, or you would never get the sale.
Wow.
So I cut my teeth in sales doing that for 9 years, driving all over creation. And at some point I said, you know what, I've had enough of this, and got into real estate in 2005. And I quickly became a top producing real estate agent in that first year, listing and selling. I didn't just do deals, just buyers. I did both. And
So
then
you got the properties and you sold the properties as well.
I did it
mean,
all, man. And I went after it. And I had big, giant intentions and big goals. And I got after it, and I made it happen. And all the people around me were like, who's this kid? And I didn't care about them saying that, because some people, by the way, they'll look at that and they'll have the people around them at their job will say, quiet down, kid, you're talking too much, or you got too much energy. And it's because
Absolutely.
they were feeling it inside of them, threatened by me. But I just
Absolutely.
kept pushing anyway, and I rolled up in there and strutted in there, and it's just the way I rolled. So
It's good to know these things, because there are a lot of people out there. I mean, when I started as well, there were estate agents all over the place, like, what's going on? Where's this kid? How did he take this deal from us? And even today, sometimes I go ahead and take, if there are 2-3 agents working on the same thing, from different companies, and the word goes around that he sold it, it's boom, what
Yeah.
happened there. So it's natural to have those kind of feedbacks and thought processes from other people, because they sort of help you in building yourself. Like, you think that about me, I can do more.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so then I was in there for a year, and I'm like, you know what? I was sending my business to my buddy, a good friend of mine I grew up with. He was a mortgage guy.
Okay.
And I said to him, you know what, man? I don't really like showing properties, man. I don't really like this. This isn't what I'm going to do the rest of my life. Why don't I get in the mortgage business? Why don't you show me how to do that? And he said, no, man, I don't want you coming over here. You're my best real estate agent. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. I'll figure it out. I'll make more money there. I'll work under you. So I drove an hour and a half each way for 5 years to be a mortgage person and learn the mortgage business. And just from the first year, I hit the ground running. I grew, and then we started growing a team, decided to start growing branches in a division. The owner of the company told me that we couldn't do it. He said, yeah, I'll let you do it, but you're going to fail. You're not going to make it. And of course, that is just one episode, or one instance actually, of what I call turning setbacks into rocket fuel for your future. That's Waymo.
Of
What are you
course.
made of? Waymo rule number 1, turning setbacks into rocket fuel for your future. He told me that, and I'm like, okay, gotcha. Let's go. And then I told my partner, I said, we're going to do this. If there's something that gets in our way, we're going to run through it, around it, over it. We're going to figure it out, but we're going to make it happen. And we did. And we started blowing it up and blew the business up. And for the past, that was 2011, past 9 years that we've had our own company now.
And it's still going on, and you've been doing countless amounts of mortgages all over, so you cover.
Yeah. Matter of fact, March and April and May, we set 3 records, did the most volume we've ever done during COVID.
Wow. Amazing. Just want to take you back a bit when you mentioned about that guy that he told you that you won't be able to make it. Did you have that negativity in you at that point, that, why is he saying that? And how can I come out of this? Because a lot of people say things about yourself, when you're in the business, you're doing something, and all of a sudden someone comes up and says, you can't do it. Does that set you back?
No. See, You know, it sets me back like a slingshot sets back like this, man. It builds my momentum, and when it lets go, I fire out. That's what the
Of
rocket
course.
fuel is. So look, that didn't hurt me because I knew when I was 11 years old, I came from a broken house, and my dad gave up on me when I decided not to live in his house anymore and moved to my mom's. And my dad basically crumpled up a $100 bill. And he threw it at me and said, "You're going to need this when you're living on the streets with your mother one day." I was 11 when that happened. Some people would say, "Man, how could somebody do that to a kid? That must have been tough." To me, I thank my dad. I look back and say, "Thank you for doing that, man," because you know what? When he said that to me, I was going to prove him wrong.
Wow.
And number two, I wanted to help other people that have been given up on. And that created an opportunity for me to be impactful and inspire other people. So about a year and a half ago, I decided to start the What Are You Made Of movement, because I say to myself all the time, "What are you made of, man? I'm built for this. I got this." I talk to myself a lot.
Of course.
And so that's where it came from. So when that guy did that, the guy that said that we weren't going to make it, we were going to fail, that was just perfect for me, man. That's fuel. Like, I needed that. Let's go.
And you just got out of that and fueled up yourself to, you know, whatever you are today.
Yeah. Listen, if you listen to people, what they say all the time, when they say you can't do something, you're giving them control. I'm no puppet, man. I roll every day I wake up. I'm the puppet master. I don't want to be a puppet. So you have two choices in life. Every decision you make, you're either the puppet or you're the puppet master. What's going on in our country right now, in the United States, has to do with people deciding whether they want to be the puppet or the puppet master. And when you give control to someone else, you are the puppet. And giving control, by the way, also comes from not forgiving people. When there's somebody does a wrong to you and you're sitting there waiting for them to apologize, you're going to wait the rest of your life. The only power you have is to forgive people.
Of course. 100%.
And then that frees you to become the puppet master.
Of course. And, you know, like right now with all this lockdown and COVID and everything that happened, you mentioned you did record sales, record mortgage deals during this time. How has the residential market in the US sort of coped up to all of this that's going on? And now again, with what's going on in the US and New York and everything, how are the markets doing right now?
So when COVID happened, interest rates dropped, but there was a liquidity problem. There wasn't a lot of money to lend. And so a lot of lenders had a lot of issues, man. A lot of lenders raised their credit score requirements, stopped funding loans altogether, tightened up. Our company, Nations, prepared for this, and we had plenty. Our balance sheet was great. Thank God for our leadership. They prepared well for this. And so we had the rates dropped, and we were able to still fund loans. So our refinance business went up while the purchase business suffered a little bit. So we were able to still do more business because of the refi business. But then when COVID started winding down, the purchase business shot back up again. The problem we're dealing with now is inventory. There's not a lot of houses on the market. And what I'm thinking, you know, I don't know what's going to happen, but a lot of people losing their jobs, and it sucks that that's happening. But a lot of people are going to lose their houses because of it. And what that should do is help with the inventory, which I don't like to say that helps something when somebody loses something. But
of course.
Or
I mean, but business is done that way, right? Like someone's loss is someone's profit. It's always like that. And now that you're doing what you're doing in building people's lives and everything, how did you come about doing that? From being in the business background, the sales background, what made you realize that there's something much bigger out there in building people's lives than just doing what I'm doing right now?
So in 2017, I had this itch. Like, I had a sales team, and I'm coaching them and all this. And I had this itch, like, man, I got to get out. Like, I got to get out. I feel like an animal in a cage. And I had this itch, and I got a buddy of mine that was a speaker, and he did seminars and things. I reached out to him through Facebook Messenger, and I said, "Hey, man, I got this itch to be a speaker, man. I don't know what it is." And I thought he might say, "Hey, man, come under my wing, man. I'll help you. I'll mentor you." But you know what he said to me? "Grow your following."
Yep.
That's all he said. And that was the message I got. And that was it. I said, "That's it? Like, grow your following?" So then I ran into Grant Cardone, and Grant Cardone gave me the validation to unlock the key to the cage of the animal that I was in a cage, man, and unleash the animal, because I saw him doing it and he had success, and people were attracted to it, not running away from it. I always thought that if I act like the animal that I am, people will run away. And when actuality, people actually will be attracted to that. So then I saw that it gave me validation to be the animal that I am. And when that happened, I'm like, dude, I can help so many people not just in
Okay.
our company here. I can
Yeah.
help more people. They don't have to be in mortgages. They can be
Of course.
wherever. And so, look, man, mortgages is the vehicle. That's it.
I had the same itch. You know, that's why I started with these live shows, because I want to talk to people. I want to share that positivity, the knowledge, that I gain from people like yourselves, you know, by doing business every day. And I think property is one of those sectors where you meet anyone and everyone, because
Yeah.
everyone needs a home,
Yep.
and you don't know who you're going to meet tomorrow, and it just takes you from one place to another, of how different people are and how it can just change your life drastically. So, you know, and can you share your experience of when you met Grant Cardone, what happened and what did he say to you and how did it go by and you turned out to be a speaker that you are today?
Well, first of all, I didn't meet him at first. When you go for a mentor and it's somebody that's you know, in a place where you want to be and has what you want, or they're where they are is on your way to the journey of where you want to go.
Yep.
You don't
Yep.
always get to meet them.
Of course.
Right? You can do it from afar through YouTube videos, books, right? Going to their seminars, buying their stuff. To me, I watched and immersed myself in as much of his content as possible. Not as a fan. Like, I'm a fan of him, but like that's not the point. As a mentee student, and I immersed myself in him, and I try to become everything that he preaches. I try to implement in my life.
Sure.
And then what happens is my wife said, Grant Cardone lives in our house now. Thank you. Right? And I'm like, well, this is what I got to do, because I want to do what he does. And if I want to do what he does, or he's where I want to be at some point on my journey, I got to figure out what he's doing and do it. So I started doing that. And then I figured to myself, okay, I'm going to do this stuff. And then my whole team got on Cardone University and training, right? And I told the guys at Cardone's when we did that, I want to be a beacon of light for the Cardone University team. I want to make you guys look good. I'm going to implement this with my team. And every day when we get up, our job is to make you guys look good, because that validates my purchase.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And then if that happens, Grant's going to hear about it. And I want to get that connection with Grant, because I want to learn as much as possible from him. So, I spent $100,000 probably last year, all told, with Cardone, with his events, with all that. And every time I spend money with him, I make more money. So there's something there. And so then what happened was he started hearing these things, and I got him on the podcast. I got Elaine on the podcast, and the people at Cardone, I developed.
This is why they call him Mr. 10X, right?
Yeah,
10X is everything.
Yeah, he does. The thing is that I got involved and developed relationships, starting with their sales team and their sales guys who are great people. Shout out to Jared and Kevin and Chris Don and all the guys over there. And then Jared Glant, and played golf with Jared, and just started building relationships with people, making connections with them, and showing them that I care about what they do.
Of course.
And I want them to be great. And I want to show that anything that they do for me, I'm going to excel at. Yep. And what happens is people start appreciating that. Right? Because they're putting their heart and soul into that stuff, man.
Indeed.
You know, and so then you know, Grant appreciates that, and then I got to talk to him at one of his boot camps, and then we have mentor calls that we do with him, and then I got him on the podcast and got to ask any questions that I wanted to, and it was just, you know, it's something that by the way, I don't want to say this to come off the wrong way, but every time in my life that I wanted something, I've gotten it, and it's not that I'm spoiled. I'm not saying it was handed to me. My wife says this to me all the time, like, you do whatever you want, you get whatever you want. Yep. Right? But it's because I work for it. I set a target.
And you got to meet that target.
I set a target, and then I have 4 things I do: persistence, consistency, massive action, and passion. And those 4 things get you what you want if you really want it bad enough.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I can see the persistence, the consistency, and the passion and the massive action that you're, you know, the energy that's coming from you. I can just see how you are in your personal life, your business life, you know, how you are going ahead and building people's lives, you know, and that's what the whole point is of connecting with people like yourself, so that you can come out and you can speak about what you're doing, and other people who may not tune into your podcast or whatever it is you're doing, you know, they can hear from these live sessions, either tuning in live or getting onto YouTube videos and stuff like that. So now what is the plan moving forward for Mike C. Rock?
My goal is to reach 100 million people and inspire them with the energy that I have. Like you mentioned the energy, right? I want to show people that I'm not special, man.
No,
All I do is decide, like I just told you, and I want to show them that framework of how to get what you want
of course.
and help other people once you do that. And so I want to help other people with that. I want to show people setbacks are just rocket fuel, baby. All it is anything you go through is a training session for your future, good or bad. If you realize that and wrap your head around that, when something happens like COVID or any of these things happen, you're like, all right, man, let's go.
Let's
Get
do
ready to
it.
train, man. Let's roll.
You mentioned a lot of rocket fuel in your conversation. What are the secret ingredients of this rocket fuel?
You know, I think that when the way I try to relate this in my mind is that you need fuel to go anywhere.
Of course.
So what can I find to fuel me? Like Michael Jordan talked about making stuff up in his head. Like so-and-so said this about me, I'm going to show him. And the dude didn't really say anything about him.
It's
Right?
just for him to go out and show it.
Yeah, because he's looking for that next thing to grab onto to give him that motivation, because without it, he just doesn't have that motivation maybe. He needs something to show. Like, oh, here's something I just thought about. You asked that question. It's a great question. When I was a little kid, I remember being 5 years old, and somebody would be messing with me. And I remember this. This is so weird, though, man. I just remember this. Somebody would be messing with me, and I would take it in my mind. I would trick myself that guy, that little kid, 7 or 8 year old, is messing with me when I was 5, was trying to hurt my mom. And I would trick my brain like that, and then I would go off on him.
No way.
That's the craziest thing. I would always do that. Like, I got to run fast, hit hard, jump high, because this dude's going to take my mom from me. He's going to hurt my mom.
I mean, it is crazy, but it's like how you can trick your brain to get yourself motivated in what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not your brain doesn't know what's real. You trick your brain. You can see. Here's the thing: would you start to think about what you tell yourself all the time starts to become real in your subconscious mind. At first, it's not, but you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, repeating it, writing it down, and then you start believing. That's the way people go crazy too, because it works on the negative side of things.
Of course.
Like people say, I'm sick, I don't feel good, this hurts, this hurts. Then they start feeling it, and it's not even real.
Yeah, I mean, that's different kind of sickness. Like, you just can't get up, and you feel lethargic and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't work like that. I mean, I've had so many employees at work over the past many years. And they're like, I'm feeling sick, I can't get up. I'm like, there's no motivation out there. It's not happening.
Well, hold on a second. Let me clarify something. It ain't a different kind. I believe that asthma, I believe in like joint pains, headaches. I believe a lot of it's mental, man.
Of course, 100%.
You don't need
because
drugs
it's
to
in
solve
your
a lot of
head.
these problems.
I stopped taking medicine drugs. I don't know when, but it's in your head, like you mentioned. Everything's in your head. If your head's right, your brain's right, you can go and do whatever you want. Mike, before we wrap up this conversation, I always do this with all my guests that come up, and I want them to share some positive advice. We've gone through a lot in the last. It's like whatever we went through in the last 2 months, we'd possibly go in 10 years of our life. But it's the negativity, people losing their jobs, furloughs, redundancies, businesses going bust, all that kind of stuff. There is a hell lot of negativity out there in the market. In personal life, you take it in business life. What is the advice that you would like to give everyone today? It's not only people living in negativity, but positive as well. What advice would you give them today to move on in life and stop thinking about all this that's around them and focus on what where they want to get?
So my stepfather that came into my life when I was 11 years old, thank God I was at a young age that becoming a man, I needed somebody like him, because he was really hard on me, man. And he was very black and white. You either do good or you do bad. There's no in between. Every decision you make is either good or bad. You're tearing up something or you're building something. You're loving someone, you're hating someone. It's one or the other. There's no in between. And if we start living like this with every decision that we make, being selfless instead of selfish, love instead of hate, being understanding that what's on the news and what people are trying to tell you ways to think is not the way you need to think. You need to think the way you think that you need to think in your heart and your mind.
Of course.
And picking the right side, which the right side is do good, good happens. Do bad, bad happens.
100%.
Very simple, man.
100%. Mike, when are you coming to London?
Man, I don't know. I don't have plans yet, but I'd love to come. I do have plans at some point to come. I just don't have it on the books yet. But I would love to come to Europe in general, man.
Whenever you're down in the city, I want you to hit me up. You know, we'll go out and whatever. You know, it'll
Sounds
be fun.
good, man.
But thank you so much for coming on, Mike. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. You know, you've boosted my morale, the positivity, the energy in me right now, you know, with all the stuff that you've said, all the good words that you've come out with, you know, it's all positive in terms of how your career, how you shaped it up from what you thought and where you are today in building people's lives, like 100 million people you want to reach. You know, if I reach 10,000 people, I'll be like, whoa, man.
Raise the bar, dude. Raise
Absolutely,
your standards.
absolutely.
Raise
But
it up.
100 million, it's
Murtaza,
absolutely
you got to raise that shit up because if you don't, you're not going to hit 10,000. You're going to hit 5,000.
Of course.
Raise it up. Think big. Think global. 10x.
100%. 10x, 100%. But it's like, you know, you want to get to one point first and then move on. But at 100 million, absolutely amazing. Mike, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure to speaking to you and getting so much positivity from. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, brother. Stay connected.
Thank you. Take care, Mike. See you. Bye-bye. So, guys, that was Mike Sirach. Absolutely amazing guy. The energy, the positivity, how to go about in life to get where you want, how you want to achieve what you want. There's so much to learn from people like Mike Sirach who come on here, not only on my live session, but on their own podcast, on their own Instagram profiles. You know, there is tons and tons of stuff out there that you can listen to, that you can make it work for your life moving forward. Go ahead and get all that positivity, man, because it's priceless. This is priceless. People spending their time, energy, money, and I don't know what, but coming out there and speaking and just taking it to another level of helping people like 100 million. David Meltzer, 1 billion people. It's astonishing how these guys want to go out and help so many people. But thank you so much to everyone that tuned in. A big, massive thank you to Mike Sirach for joining me in today. Stay safe wherever you are. Enjoy your Thursday evening, night, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Take care and see you soon. Bye-bye.